If the stock market is roaring back like it is today, Bitcoin's going to go higher. Bitcoin having a good surge. Yesterday, when the markets were selling off, it was risk off on Bitcoin. Bitcoin fell to 48,500-ish. It's back up above that. It's approaching 52,000. We're unconfirmed, but right now it looks like we could confirm today the breakout above this level. The only issue here is that we ultimately have another resistance point that I'm paying close attention to.
Wait a minute, everyone. Welcome to Bitcoinzilla, your platform for daily cryptocurrency analysis and news. Our mission is to keep it simple. Bitcoinzilla offers engaging information that is easy to understand. Our analysts keep their eyes on the latest news to provide valuable insights via email. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Join our community of 10,000 subscribers and experience the new edge with Bitcoinzilla. Subscribe now. In this video, Gareth will share his insights on how Bitcoin has broken above a long-term trend line, but faces another resistance point at $52,500, and how the stock market could affect its direction. How Ethereum has reached a critical resistance level of $2,775, and how a spot Bitcoin ETF approval could boost its chances of breaking out and reaching $3,000. How Cardano has shown a clear breakout from a downsloping trendline but faces short-term resistance at $0.57 to $0.58, and how gold has a short-term weakness, but a long-term bullish outlook. Let's join Gareth in this interview about these topics and more.
All right, guys, we are back. So we're going to look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin having a good surge. Yesterday, when the markets were selling off, it was risk off on Bitcoin. Bitcoin fell to 48,500-ish. It's back up above that. It's approaching 52,000. All right, so we're going to take a look at what the chart is telling us here. I want to just quickly draw a couple trend lines before we jump over to the chart, because I do have some levels to watch. All right, so the first level, and again, it's basically upwards of the 52,000 level. Okay, and again, just take me a second here to draw this in and drag it across, but I'll show you where I expect Bitcoin to run into some resistance. All right, follow me back to the chart here. What we see is this was that longer-term upsloping trend line. We are now above it. Granted, we are unconfirmed at this point. So again, just keep that in mind. We're unconfirmed, but right now it looks like we could confirm today the breakout above this level. The only issue here is that we ultimately have another resistance point that I'm paying close attention to right here. We can see a high pivot here and a high pivot right there. And again, that line, if you put it right through, is just around 52,500. So again, that'll be a level that I am watching very closely if we can get through that or if we stall out. Again, I hate to say it. I know the crypto maxis don't want to hear this, but a lot of this has to do with how the stock market behaves. If the stock market is roaring back like it is today, Bitcoin's going to go higher. If we see the stock market start to collapse and break that wedge pattern that I've been talking about, then I would almost, not guarantee, but I would expect Bitcoin to roll over as well. All right, so again, just keep that in mind. That is your next technical level on Bitcoin. All right.
Bitcoin had broken above a long-term upsloping trendline, but it was still unconfirmed. Bitcoin had another resistance point at around $52,500. The performance of the stock market could also affect Bitcoin, as a risk-off sentiment could cause Bitcoin to roll over.
I want to look at Ethereum because Ethereum is tagging a target that I gave you guys literally just a couple days ago. In fact, I've been talking about this one. You guys will remember it if you follow me on a daily basis. We know we had this parallel zone in here where priced, it went above, and I'm going to change my color here because, again, we need to have a little bit of a brighter color on this. So we went up here, down, up, we broke out, then we came back in and we kind of hovered in. But now once we broke above here, where did I say your next resistance was going to be, right? We talked about this line right up here, which mirrors this. And if you go back, this is that much bigger channel within the Ethereum chart. So Ethereum is actually hitting resistance today at around 27.75. By the way, it doesn't mean that Ethereum can't get through this. You just have to respect it. Just say, okay, let's watch and see what happens. If there's going to be a point where Ethereum pulls back, this would be a point. If it breaks through this, you're talking $3,000 on Ethereum, all right? And we talked about this even back when the spot Bitcoin ETF was approved, how ultimately that could be a positive since maybe the spot Ethereum ETF could be approved. That narrative's kind of gone by the wayside, but don't be surprised if it doesn't reemerge if we break through this 27.75 level on Ethereum.
Ethereum and the potential impact of a spot ETF approval. Ethereum had reached the resistance level of $2,775. Ethereum could break through this level. It could have an upside to $3,000. The approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF could be a positive catalyst for Ethereum, as it could increase the chances of a spot Ethereum ETF approval.
But basically what we have here on Cardano, you have a downsloping trend line from this recent high here, 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 here. Notice the breakout clear as day. Right there was your breakout, and it's continued to move up. This is going to be, though, we're starting to get in. So look at how you kind of have a general trend line right through here, right? So again, if we look at this, we kind of chopped here, right along here. We then broke down. Then this became resistance, and it's kind of into that thing. So just like Ethereum is back into its resistance, Cardano is back into its short-term resistance here at around 57 to 58 cents. If it can break through 58 cents, then it can reattack this level around 66 to 67 cents, and that will be your short-term next resistance. But again, contingent on getting through this 58 cent level on Cardano. So again, on gold, we continue to see some weakness. Yesterday, we did see a drop, but one of the things I want to point out here on the gold chart is that, again, as I said, it's all about time frame. The short-term time frame has turned down on gold, right? You've had a short-term wedge breakdown. But the bigger time frame on gold, all right, if we look at the bigger picture, we still have this area to this area, which is going to be major support here. We also have this level at 1775, as well as this level right in here. This is kind of the daily chart. One of the lessons of today's game plan is that not only do you want to look at the daily chart, but you also want to take a look at the bigger. So we talked about the short-term being bearish, right? So the short-term pattern is bearish on this. But what if we go to the weekly chart and then obviously the monthly chart? So if we look at the weekly, in fact, we could just look at the weekly. That's even fine and dandy. So if we look at the weekly chart here, here's your short-term breakdown, but look at the bigger picture here. What do you have? You have a flag pattern here, right? Which is all bullish consolidation here, right? So again, shorter term is okay. That's meant for swing traders or short-term traders. What you want to be aware of is if you're someone who says, hey, I'm going to hold for 6 months, or I have a bigger macro view like me on gold, for me, what I'm focusing on is the bigger picture here on this chart of gold. In addition, obviously, we know, I've talked about this before, bear with me as I get my trend tool back up here. This is that inverse head and shoulders, which I still think, again, breaks out with a target price upwards of $2,500 when it does break out. So it's a good lesson to understand is that the short term can create fear, but ultimately you need to, as an investor, figure out what is your time horizon on a trade. Is it a long-term trade you're holding for over a year? Is it 6 to 12 months? Or is it a short-term trade? Like as a short-term trader, if you're just trading for the next 3 days or so, that breakdown here on gold, great short, right? It broke the little wedge. So in the short term, you could be short. But if you're someone who says, my bigger picture is what I'm looking at because my time horizon's longer, then the bigger picture is still unbelievably bullish.
If you've been with us so far, a big thank you. Don't forget to subscribe for free to Bitcoin Zella for your daily news. The link is waiting below. That's all for today's crypto news. Stick around for more updates, insights, and analysis on cryptocurrencies. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more exciting content.